What's up, guys? It's another episode of What's Next podcast. I'm your host, Mario Maitland. We got a very, very special guest. Before I even show y'all who it is, man, let me just read off all his achievements and his accolades, all that. Here's a long list, man. We got a Kentucky native, a Louisville, Kentucky native, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, former University of Kentucky basketball player. Yeah, that's right. We got a NCAA champion as well for the Kentucky Wildcats. I'm not done yet, though. I got even more. An African-American author, a certified NBA and FIBA agent. Not done. Still got more. A motivational speaker as well. Twany Beckham. Welcome.
What's up, boss, man? Thank you for having me, man.
Of course, man.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you on, man. I know you're a busy man, so I want to just give you my flowers and say, I really appreciate you coming on, just, giving the time to be able to sit down and do this for me, man. It means a lot.
Man, thank you, man. I mean, just to see a young brother like yourself grinding, man, it means a lot.
For sure, man. I apologize for being late, because I was late, ladies and gentlemen.
You're good,
such
man.
a big guest. I was running late.
Things happen, man. I understand. It just gave us some time to get in and get set up, bro. So
For sure, man.
We're good.
For sure, man. Let's talk about, like your daily life, man. What are you doing now? Because I feel like Kentucky fans, they always wonder what the player once they graduate, once they leave their team, they always remember the player, but they always ask man, I wonder what he's doing now. So what are you doing now? I want you to introduce that to my audience.
That's a good question, man. But first of all, let me just say this, man. Right now I'm doing a lot of healing. Like every day I wake up, man, I'm healing. In 2022, man, I went through a significant change in my life. I lost my mom.
Okay.
And my grandma within the same week.
Okay, wow.
So,
sorry about that, man.
Yeah, so that knocked me down, man. So everything I had built up until that point, feel like I lost it. Because everything I've ever worked for was for my mom and my grandma and my family. So to lose both of them in the same week really, really set me back a lot.
That's tough. Probably my first time I've ever heard someone losing two relatives at the same time.
At the same
time.
Yeah.
Man.
As I was in the hospital, watching my mom take her last breath, I had to go speak at my grandma's funeral several hours after that.
Man,
yeah,
that's crazy, man.
Yeah, so
how you still doing it, man?
Man, it's been a challenge, man. It's really been a challenge, but through what I've experienced and what I've been going through, man, I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about the people around me. I've learned a lot about just enjoying everyday life.
For sure.
I've learned a lot about the choices I've made, the things I've been able to do in my life. I just appreciate everything so much more.
Of course.
So to answer your question, man, what I've been doing, first of all, I've been healing. And then secondly, man, I put a lot of work into just becoming the person I am today, a businessman, somebody who cares about my community.
Yeah.
Somebody who,
known for that, though.
Yeah.
The community part is for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and there's so much that I aspired to do as I was growing up, outside of being a basketball player, that I've been able to kind of, tackle and get my feet wet in several different things, and I'm doing it.
Okay, so I hate to cut you off. You've been growing up, you always kind of wanted to tap into different stuff, or was it just only basketball?
No, I was one of those kids that, I grew up in an impoverished community.
Right.
I grew up in a tough community.
Yeah.
But it was always something different about me. Even though I was one of the better kids in my community, everybody, when I was a young child, said that kid got an opportunity to be an NBA player.
That's what's up.
I knew it was always something different about me. I just cared about other people. It was more than just playing basketball and playing football. I wanted to galvanize the community. I wanted my friends to all be in the same place. I wanted us all to experience and be exposed to life outside of the community we was in. So I've always had that wherewithal and thinking since I was a kid.
Man.
You know what I mean?
Meant to do it. That's
meant to do it, bro.
Man, since we on I know we touched a little bit. We're gonna get into you growing up in Louisville, Kentucky, and the impact that have on you. I want to touch a little bit on Kentucky itself. The Kentucky fans, of course. You're a champ. So this is a champ we're looking at. A champ, NCAA champ. Mm-hmm. What do you think about the upcoming team?
Man, I'm excited about the upcoming team, man. The point being is, you've been hearing a lot of conversation around that. My coach, the coach that I love dearly, hasn't won the championship since our team. I think what people don't realize is how hard it is to win a championship.
Very hard.
It takes, first, a lot of good players, but secondly, a lot of luck. A lot of things got to be on your side. 64 teams in that tournament, man, it's only one team standing at the end. A lot of balls got to bounce your way. So I'm excited, man. I think he's got a good group of guys in here. I love the guard play.
Our play looks impressive.
And then once the big guys get healthy and come back, man, I think once he meshes this team together, man, we're gonna have a good team.
For sure, man. I know the Kentucky fans, like, they want it so bad, man, that they like I don't know if they're used to winning so many games, but I don't know what it is, but like they always want to see like Kentucky, take it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of a team or a fan of a program or a fan of a coach, man, you want to see them win.
For sure.
And
for sure.
But like I said, it's hard to win. But I think coach, if we want to get behind anybody, man, it's the coach that we got in place right now.
Got to, man. Got to. Let's stop with the fire cow, all that nonsense. We're not doing that.
Facts.
We ain't doing that, man.
Facts.
Let's go back, man. Louisville, Kentucky, born and raised. Talk a little bit about like the impact. Now you're coming from a rough area in Louisville, Kentucky, where you were brought up. Like what impact that has had? I guess how has that shaped you? Like the just being in that environment. How has it shaped you, Twany Beckham, today?
Man, this shape is everything to me, man. Like I wouldn't want, if I could go back and rewind my childhood, I wouldn't want it any other way. And also too, it was one of those situations where, you grew up poor, but you don't know you.
You don't know you.
You don't know you're poor.
You think it's normal?
Yeah, it's normal. You go to school, you come home, you take off your new school shoes, you put your backpack down and you go outside and you play, or you go to the community center. It's a lot of things that's going on in the community that thankful for my mom, she kept us from. The drugs, the guns, the violence, the fighting. We dabbled in a little bit of fighting here and there, but
I feel like that's part of it.
It's part of growing up. It's part of growing up in that type of community. But outside of that, man, just the camaraderie you had with your boys growing up. The older guys, the OGs, looking after you, man. Putting that confidence in you, that man, stay on the right track, man. One day you can grow up to be somebody. And so I come from that. And so that's why I love, no matter what I do in my life, man, I'll never forget where I come from. I'm always gonna go back because I want to look at that next young African-American boy or girl and say, you know what, man, you don't need sports or you don't need to be an entertainer to make it out, man. You can be a normal person. You can go through life, choose to be whatever you want, and be whatever you want to be and still be successful. Because I think a lot of times, man, now in the world we live in, if you're not a basketball player, a football player, or entertainment man, you're not as valued. So one thing I love to stand on is, man, I'm a 6-time author. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman. I give back. I do a lot of things that that may not be as valuable to me. You know what I mean? To certain people, but it's created happiness in the life of myself that I enjoy.
Facts, man. You talked about like the people that the older people that you kind of like had sheltered you, I guess. A little bit about that, like who was some of the biggest inspirations growing up? Like I know for basketball, and during that time, your time period, Rajon Rondo's.
I just had we just had lunch today.
Oh wow. Yeah. Shout out to Rondo.
Yeah, shout out to Rondo, man. Like we just had lunch today, man. And from an athletic perspective, you had Rajon Rondo, Derek Anderson. Those are two guys that are from Louisville that wore that Kentucky across their chest that I knew personally.
Okay.
I used to play in Derek Anderson's camps.
Oh wow.
And then Rondo is somebody who's really close to me in age. So we used to play for the same AAU team. We used to work out together. And so we both played the same position as well. He was a football player, quarterback. I was a basketball player, point guard, just like him. Yeah. So he was like an idol to me. You know what I mean?
He was older than you a little bit?
He's only a few years older than me, but he was doing things that, you just don't see in a typical basketball player. So I always looked up to him. So shout out to Rondo.
Shout out to Rondo, man.
For y'all being inspiration. But outside of that, man, I was exposed, to a life outside of the community I grew up in. I had friends in, different areas of town that would come and get me, that took a liking to me and expose me to what, having two parents in the house or having a basketball rim in your backyard, having a pool, having nice cars, having good clothes. I was exposed. I got to see that as a kid. So I'm like, I'll go back home to my mom, it's a life outside of where we grow up. Even I was a kid with that thinking. It's a life outside of here. Let's not put that too far away that we think we can't get there either with hard work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Man, you talked about like just looking up the guys like Derek Anderson and Rajon Rondo, and they got the Kentucky jersey on. They play for Kentucky. You, at your point in your life when you were younger, in your teens, did you imagine yourself playing for Kentucky? Because I don't.
It's always been a dream of mine. And I say this, I tell a lot of kids this to open up my speaking engagements, especially when I'm speaking to elementary kids. I was a very shy kid growing up. So like me being a public speaker, doing interviews and all that is something I never thought I would be doing, man. I didn't talk much.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't talk much. I was about my business. You know, I was a dog on the court, football field, but I didn't really have too much to say. You know,
How did that change?
You know, I had a fun personality. I was always funny, but as far as like talking,
Like, yeah.
this was never my thing. No, so I tell kids, man, the story all the time where, you know, there was a guy that came to my elementary school. They were doing the same thing that I'm doing right now, coming to give inspiration. And he said, I want everybody in here, or people who are courageous enough to raise your hand, stand up, state your names so everybody in the gymnasium know who you are, and tell us what your dreams and your goals are. And for some odd reason, man, that day I raised my hand.
You did it?
I did it, raised my hand. I said, man, my name is Twany Beckham. And one day when I grew up, I want to play basketball for Kentucky. So I think I was in the 3rd or 4th grade. So from that time, man, is when I had that dream, man. And then the way I was able to make that dream come to fruition is crazy in itself. I had to make, which we'll get into, man. I had to make a crazy decision that a lot of people, you know, didn't want me to make, but it changed my life forever.
Man, talk about you speaking of decisions. Like, what influenced some of your decisions? Like, you're going to Mississippi State. That's a big thing.
The big thing. Yeah.
Talk to me about like some of the like what's in your mind, you know, while you're making these decisions. So these are big decisions.
Yeah, big time. I mean, first of all, man, just shout out to, you know, just my mom and everybody that's been in my life, our mentors or coaches or anybody that's ever helped me. Because coming from where we come from, just being able to go play Division I college basketball is a thing in itself, right? That's a thing in itself. And then when you talk about adding an academic perspective to it, right? Going to a Division I school where you know you got to keep your grades up, you on a scholarship, you got to pass the ACT test. So that's a hurdle in itself. So, you know, being one of the, you know, first people in my neighborhood and my family to make it to that level was a special thing in itself. So, you know, when I chose Mississippi State, man, you know, it was a situation where, you know, I thought I was going in, going to be the starter, going in, you know, only wanting to do a couple of years and put my name in the draft. Because, you know, I'm coming behind guys like Rajon and other guys that I knew.
The guys you watching, so you
watch. So I wanted to kind of follow in their footsteps. And, you know, I started to experience some adversity when I got there. You know, I get there and then, you know, there's another guy in my position who was really good. Mess up my foot in preseason. So I sat the first couple of weeks of the season. So had to become a backup when I got back. The number that I originally wanted to wear when I committed was taken away from me from the guy that was in my same position.
It's like it can't get any worse.
No, it can't get any worse, man. But you know what, man? I'm a fighter, so I'm a fighter, man. So I got there, you know, and I looked around and I just figured I had to make the best out of the situation. And then my freshman year, man, we won an SEC championship. You know what I mean? Like, so out here I am from the hood, you know, or impoverished community, and then I'm playing basketball on, you know, national television, winning the SEC championship. Man. You know, I just looked at it like, damn, this ain't even about me at this point. It's about what this is doing for my community, about the kids at home that's watching me, that's from my community, looking up. Yeah, for sure.
I want to talk a little bit about like the adversity you face. How do you overcome that? Like being able to watch a guy, you know, kind of, I don't want to say take his spot, but I mean, you know, the spot that you wanted, but, you know,
for sure,
wasn't going your way. Because that happens to everybody. Like a lot of the times, people, you know, want stuff, but you know, it doesn't go their way. How do you face adversity?
Man, we come from adversity. That's where I come from. I'm from adversity. You know, to tell you a story. You know, my mom told me before she passed away, when she had me, she didn't know where we were going. Like she had no home to go home to. You know, she had me in the hospital. She had, you know, just so happened, you know, we got into a place several weeks after that, after I was born. So essentially I was born homeless. So I was born into adversity. So, you know, watching my mom struggle with 3 kids, fighting and scrapping and doing what she had to do just to, you know, make sure that we had a chance at life. You know, I'm not going to say that I'm one of those kids that the lights got cut off and like, I'm not going to go there, because if they did, we didn't understand or we didn't know. You know what I mean? It was one of those things that my mom, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure some of those things happened where we struggled to pay bills, but mama, if we did, I didn't know about it. That's the type of mom that I had, you know what I mean? But I saw my mom every day put in that work to make sure that me and my brothers had an opportunity to be successful.
Because you got to see it though.
I got to see it, bro.
Like everything growing up, it kind of shaped you, because basically your mom just basically is an example for you.
Example, man. So
every time you face that, you just look back.
So you come from that, man. You know, like, especially any adversity playing basketball. That's cupcake.
That's nothing. Yeah,
that's nothing.
Real life.
Yeah, it's real life. You know, I'm super competitive, so I don't want to just see a guy take my spot. You know what I mean? Like I have goals, I have dreams. I'm trying to get to the NBA. So, you know, when I don't become a starter and the guy's taking my spot or he's playing in those minutes, yeah, it was kind of discouraging at times. But then I had to kind of look at life from a different perspective. Man, I'm getting an opportunity to play college basketball, you know.
And for free.
Yeah, for free. I'm getting a free education, man. Well, no, I ain't gonna, you know what? I ain't even gonna say a free education, boy, because you got to work for that education. I'm not even gonna say the education free, man. 6 a.m.s and you don't get back to your room until 8, 9 o'clock, bro. I earned that education. And I earned it.
Say it, man.
I earned it.
Yeah, so man, big time, Mississippi State, you know, you win the SEC championship, you head back to Kentucky, hometown state, get to put on the jersey that you grew up dreaming of doing that. Why? Why did you decide to go back to Kentucky?
So my sophomore year at Mississippi State, man, I faced hard adversity, man. I faced some life-changing adversity. I had double hip surgery.
Oh, my God.
My sophomore year of college. And, you know what I mean? And that was the first time in my life where I started to, like, really, really see myself outside of being a basketball player. Like, man, this could be over at any moment, right? So I was out an entire season, an entire year. I had to rehabilitate my hips. So I had a chance and an opportunity to do a lot of thinking within that year. You know, I had a chance to really, you know, tap in with people and have conversations and start thinking about what was next as people start putting the bug in my area that maybe you might not be a professional basketball player. And if that's the case, then what's next? So that was the first time in my life that I really started to understand that, man, this might not be in the cards for me, is making money playing basketball.
Okay.
So, you know, I rehabilitate and I come back as a third-year sophomore, and I decided to transfer. You know, I wanted to get back close to home. And it was a situation where I thought I was going to come home and, you know, go down a level, maybe Western, Eastern Kentucky, Moorhead. You know what I mean? I knew that I was a high major player, but I'm like, let me go home, you know, let me not run into the situation that I'm in now. Go to a school where I know I'm going to be the guy.
Yeah.
And then, man, I get an opportunity, man, to meet with Hall of Fame head coach John Calipari, and just through some connections in the way that even came about, man, this is just blessing from God. So I get a chance to meet with him, sit in his office, and we sitting side by side, just like you and I. Also, well, he's actually sitting across from me at his desk.
Right.
And he looks me in the face and he says, listen, man, I understand you could play. Like, I understand that you're a high major player. I understand, like, what your skills and abilities are.
Right.
But I want you to understand that if you come here, there's a likely chance that you might not ever play here. That's what he looked me in my face and told me, like, you can come here and there's a chance that you might not ever get on that floor because I recruit the best of the best.
Exactly.
But he don't know, Coach Cal don't know what what I'm built and what I'm made of. He didn't know. And he didn't know my plan. Nobody knew my plan, right?
What was your plan, man?
And my plan was to, if I could put that jersey on, one, that made my dream come true. You know, it was bigger than me scoring any points in the uniform, but putting the uniform on, running out to that crowded Rupp Arena.
Take you back to third grade, fourth grade.
Take me back to that time. So that was step number one. Like, man, even if I may not ever play, I'm gonna put that uniform on. So what that does for people in my community that I go speak to is, man, you can have a dream and you can achieve it. Two, the network, the people that come across this university, this program, the people that I'm gonna be able to meet, the people that I'm gonna be able to
that's true.
You know what I mean, to make connections with, is you might not get that in any other program in the country. You know what I mean? So you got that aspect. And then the third aspect is, I know I'm a dog. I know I can play. So I know once I put the uniform on and I get in practice, it's over with. He's going to see that I can play. And my teammates are going to see that I can play. You know, so I proved them wrong. You know, I played in the biggest game that I ever grew up watching, the Louisville, Kentucky game. Played in, you know, got in several other games as well. Yeah. Played in, you know, just some other, you know, big time games that I wasn't supposed to be a part of. But
first year, you winning a title.
First year, we win a title, man. You know, I played with some of the best players in the world, and we won the national championship. So not only did I make my dream come true, but now you just put national championship in front of my name. So now when I'm in the deuce on stages, now I'm in the deuce on several places.
You're always gonna have that.
I'm always gonna have that. That's something you can never take away from me. Is I'm a national champion. You can never take that away from me. I experienced that.
That's that's crazy. The story itself is crazy.
You know what I mean? So, like, a lot of people, but when I told people, including my parents and, you know, some of my people that I look to for advice said, don't go to Kentucky. Why would you go there if the man's telling you you're not gonna play? I had a plan, bro.
You think it's
I'm thinking
so bigger than
I'm thinking
yourself,
10,
man.
15 years down the road of like what that could be and who I envision myself being in.
For sure, man.
And then I'm sitting right here with you, bro.
Man, what a story, man. Being a champion, like, walk me through, like, what was that feeling like? Because you got, Anthony Davis, you got these big time names you playing with, man. What was the feeling like just to man see the championship, come in Kentucky? Like, what was that feeling like? In
listen,
Final Four,
listen, bro. The second half of that game was the slowest 20 minutes of my life. You know what I mean? Like,
your heart was
the heart was pounded. And another crazy thing about that is my mom is a diehard Kansas fan.
Oh, really?
Diehard Kansas fan.
Like
I just got her tombstone back, and there's a Kansas logo on the tombstone. That just lets you know how she's big legit of a Kansas fan she was. So,
Facts.
Playing against my mom's team in the national championship game, my mom in the crowd in New Orleans, it was crazy. But, when that clock hit zero, confetti came down, the fireworks went off, it didn't seem real. You grow up and you a sports fan, and you grow up and you watch this your entire life.
You don't even think.
Like one day you're going to be in that arena.
Man.
You know what I mean? So when the ball clock hit zero, the ball went up, man, my guys threw the ball in the area, and the confetti went down, man, the fireworks went off. It was just a real feeling, bro. It's one of those feelings that it's hard for me to articulate to you.
Yeah. You gotta experience it.
You gotta experience it. Now I know not a lot of people get that chance, but
for sure.
You know what I mean? I experienced something that, can happen for people once in a lifetime.
Adversity comes, Mississippi State, obviously, you have a little bit of adversity, but Kentucky as well, you had adversity creeps up again. You get hurt again.
Yep.
Back injury.
Yep.
Walk me through your mindset when you, how did it make you feel, to notice, hey, I just won this championship. I'm looking for a bounce back season, and then you get hurt again.
Man, it was there was a time in my life where I had worked the hardest I think I've ever worked, because I just witnessed 5 or 6 guys be drafted to the NBA.
This is when you're at Kentucky, right?
One year at Kentucky, you know what I mean? And then this is my senior season. I moved to Atlanta. I hired a trainer by the name of Corey Taylor. He's one of the best trainers in the world right now. And we trained in Atlanta for the summer. We went at it. So I got my body in the best shape I've ever been in. I really worked on my game. I was expecting to really contribute to the team that year. Whether if it was going overseas or the NBA, I was going to, have an opportunity to play basketball outside of college.
Yeah.
And I wake up one morning in my dorm, man, and I don't have no feeling in my body.
This is just
my senior year.
Really? You just wake up?
I wake up one morning, man, I don't have no feeling in my body, in my lower extremities. And that was the day that my life changed forever.
Sheesh.
Yeah, I had no feeling in my body. And I went to the doctor to get an MRI, and it came back that I had 2 herniated discs in my back. Yeah, life changed for me, right, overnight.
I did not know that.
There was no signs. There was nothing that I could point to. There was no freak injury. There was no, I got bumped a certain way. I just woke up one day, bro, and everything was gone.
They say, I think my parents used to say, all the time, you never know when something's not going to, be working for you anymore. I always think of it but hearing your story is that's a real thing. It could happen.
Yeah, man, it happened to me. I was 23.
Jeez.
23, man, and had to have, back surgery, man, and ended my career. So I worked my ass off for 20 some odd years of my life. So just for it to end overnight. It was devastating.
Devastating, bro. Man.
Yeah,
devastating.
Watch my mom but the positive in that is my mom, who every time I step foot on a basketball court, she's been in the back of my mind that I want to get my family out of poverty and to experience, a different version of life, and to look at my mom and her tell me that it's gonna be all right, we're fine. That helped, yeah. Because I thought that I would be letting her down, letting my brothers down, letting people that have poured everything into me that they have down. That's what I thought. And it's hard not to think that way. Yeah. When people have poured so much of their time and energy, money, resources into you, and then it's over.
And it's not even your fault.
It's not even your fault. You can't control it, man. So, but my mom looked me in the face, man, when the doctor came in the room and, told me, my diagnosis that, she looked at me and said, it's gonna be all right. You're gonna be fine. All right, I know the man that I raised. You're gonna be fine. And it did everything for me.
Oh man. Back surgery, you're going through it. The good thing about it is that you get some time to think about what you're gonna do next.
Yeah.
Walk me through, what it was like. What was your plan while you're recovering from back surgery? Obviously, I know you like to write. That had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Walk me through that whole process.
When I transferred to Kentucky, they wouldn't accept. I would have graduated from Mississippi State in 3 years with a business degree. When I came to Kentucky, they wouldn't accept those business classes from Mississippi State because Kentucky, they wouldn't accept my credits. So I think in a day's time, I had to make a choice of what major I wanted to switch to. And just out of convenience, I chose communications. Not even knowing what really I was getting myself into.
I don't really know what it.
I don't really know, but I just need to choose something so I can get into classes.
Right.
And so, man, it was like the first time, he talked about I didn't really talk or like to speak in front of people or do any of that. At UK, man, it was the first time that, we started writing papers and we had to get up and present our papers to a classroom. Or we had to do group projects or we had to stand up and present them to a classroom.
That's a coincidence.
That's where I fell in love with it.
That's a coincidence.
You know what I mean? Like that's when I fell in love with it. I fell in love with writing, just the process of writing, how to start an intro and have a conclusion and finish it off. And then standing up in front of an audience and presenting your paper. That was a different high for me. Okay. And that's when I started to fall in love with it. So when I had back surgery, I had a lot of time that I had to spend in my dorm by myself. And somebody encouraged me to start journaling as a form of remedy to get over my depression and my anxiety about, my future. And so I started, writing, man. I started journaling, and I didn't know it was going to turn into a book. The way I felt, as I was writing, I'm like, man, I'm getting a lot off my chest of how I felt.
Helping you.
Yeah, it was helping me, bro. It was really giving me the new energy to get up and go about my day because I had got a lot of this stuff off my chest at nighttime. So it got to a point where I'm like, man, this could become a book because I wanted to use my story because I know everybody go through adversity.
You got such a unique story.
Yeah, I got a unique story, but, if somebody that can be at the pinnacle of their career and lose it all overnight can get through or, pick myself up, brush my shoulders off and hold my head high and smile that, I'm sure there's some people in life that can brush their adversity off as well and fight through what they're going through.
Nah, facts.
So I wrote my first book, man. It took me about, my year. Coach Cal gave his blessings, wrote the foreword, which meant everything in the world to me.
He wrote the what?
He wrote the foreword.
What does that mean?
So it's like kind of introducing the book. At the beginning,
like the intro.
At the intro. So at the beginning of my book, man, cool. He talks about, my value and what I brought to the team, what I brought to him, the university, and just to see somebody like him say that about you, somebody that didn't really contribute that much from a basketball perspective, but just a leadership, somebody that was great to be around, the guys, somebody people love being around. I was a 3.6 or higher. I was academic all honor roll. Academic honor roll every year I was in college.
You excelled.
I excelled it academically. You know what I mean? So it was just, it made the life even to write that forward.
Man, what a...
So, one book turned into 2, then it turned into 3, and then it turned into 6. You know what I mean? Then my mom, R.I.P., God rest her soul, she became an author.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Y'all both wrote a book.
We wrote a book together, man. And so she was struggling and knowing her time was coming to an end soon and was able to get her story. I kind of encouraged her, like, Mom, like, when you do have grandchildren or you do have great-grandchildren, whatever,
they gonna read it.
They can read your story. And so they always going to learn about Grandma Beckham. You know what I mean? Like, without me having to tell them, here's a book that's lasted eternity of a lifetime.
That's dope. Whose idea was that?
Mine.
Brought it to,
I brought it.
That's smart.
Because my mom, but I got my mom's personality, like quiet, fierce, competitor, but don't really put too much out there.
Facts.
So I had to pull teeth to get her to talk, but she ended up talking,
sure,
man.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, man. Let's get into like your legacy, man. Like, what do you hope to leave? Like outside of Louisville, outside of the community that you grew up in, like what's the legacy that Twany Beckham wants to leave for anybody?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. My legacy, man, is I want people to look at my life and say, man, that man was happy. Like, he either died or he lived a happy life. And so it's a process to get to that point. You know what I mean? And I'm learning that through the healing that I'm going through.
To get to being happy?
Being happy. You know what I mean? I'm learning that through the healing that I'm going through. You know, I was broken when my mom and my grandma passed away. I was broken. So I'm having to build my happiness in a completely different way. There's no sports. There's no business. There's no books. There's no journals. There's no amount of clothes. There's no car. None of that I can grab to fix my heart. You know, so I'm having to be really, really looking deep inside me and figure out what it is that makes me happy every single day.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So first, man, you know, we talk about my legacy. I want people to look in my life and say, man, I want to mirror him because, man, he lived happy. You know, secondly, you know, I want people to look at my life and say, that was a man that helped people. No matter what he was going through, no matter the adversity that he faced in his life, he used his time and his resources to help you.
That's dope.
It don't matter. You know, you don't know. Like, you would never know. If I didn't tell you, you would never know that I was going through what I was going through. You know what I mean? Because I'm always trying to help somebody and I keep a smile on my face. You know what I mean? So secondly, man, I want people to look in my life and say, man, that man, no matter how busy he was, no matter what adversity he was facing, no matter what he was going through, he used his time and his energy and his resources to help you.
Nah, for sure, man.
Third, I want, you know, young, not just African-American kids, man. I want young kids, period, to everybody to say, you know what, I can achieve my dream. Whatever my dream is, I can achieve it if I put the work in, if I'm good to people, work hard, if I put God first, if I put myself first, if I put my family first, you know, whatever, just put everything into just being a good person and working your butt out to achieve your dreams.
Work hard.
Yeah.
Things they have to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have to happen, man.
Yeah.
I want to backtrack a little bit. It's a little bit on the motivational speech out there.
Yeah, yes, sir.
I know that when you first started, like your first ever speech, you had like 5 people in there.
Bro, you did your research.
Of course I did, man.
You did your research.
But you had 5 people.
You did your research.
In there.
Yeah, man. Like 5 people in there.
Now you speaking to hundreds.
Hundreds. Yeah.
Like, man, what is that like? What does that mean to you, man? Just to start from the bottom and then now you hear it.
You know, I don't even consider it the bottom. I had to start.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I had to start. You know what I mean? Because I don't really want to look at 5 people being the bottom because, you know, whenever somebody else wants to start their speaking engagement, there's 3 people. Okay. And then now they automatically discouraged.
Start. I like that. I like that.
You know what I mean? So it was the first time that I had an opportunity. You know, I got my book in the mail and my book was out. And I just wanted to put it in people's hands. And I wanted to just share my stories. And at that time, I didn't know how to prepare for a speech. You know, I didn't know how the speech should go. Yeah. I just wanted to get in front of people and talk. And I got in front of a church group. And when I left, you know, I didn't, like I said, I put together no notes, no nothing. I just went and I talked. And man, when I left, man, all the men were like weeping. They were in tears. Man. And I knew then, I said, I got something.
You got it.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I got something. So then you fast forward to, you know, now, you know, I can speak in front of, you know, hundreds or thousands. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. You know, I get the mic, bro. It's go time. It's go time. I'm super laid back. Like, if you just see me on a normal day, if you walk past me in the mall or store, you know, say what's up to you. You know, I'm super laid back, super casual.
Right.
But you give me that mic, man, and you get on stage with me, man, it's up to you. It's turned up. Yeah. Because that's my basketball game now. Yeah. Like, from preparation, I do, you know, I prepare the night before or maybe a couple days before. And then I have the day of, man, I have a pregame meal. I do everything. Yeah. I treat it just like a basketball game. When I get up there, man, it's go time. It's to tip the ball. Let's go. Let's get it. And then when I get off stage, man, you know, the game's over. And, you know, but it's a high that you get, you know, that high that I told you I got running out of Rep Arena, putting that Kentucky jersey on. It's the same high I get going on to that stage. You know, it's a high that it's a struggle for me to articulate that, how good I feel. You know, when you get up on stage. When I get up on stage and when I come off, man, it's like, man, I just, you know, whether if I change one person's life or 50 people's lives, man, it's a different feeling.
That's insane to me because it's like you telling me, like earlier in the episode, how like you weren't even like, you was a shy dude, you couldn't see yourself doing speeches or anything like that. Now look at you, man. That's growth.
Yeah,
that's growth, man.
Yeah. You know what? Another thing too, man, is I see this. People say this all the time, but man, it's so true. Do it, even if you gotta do it scared. You know what I mean?
Do you believe in fake it till you make it?
No, I don't believe in that.
You don't believe in that?
No, I don't believe in that. Because I just believe in you put the work in. You put the work in. Ain't no point. What are you faking?
Yeah.
What am I faking? I got a lot of money. I'm faking that I got all the girls, or I'm faking that.
In the aspect of
What am I faking? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
there's steps in the process that you got to go through, and if you don't go through that, and that kind of goes back into the line of I talk about being happy. You live in a lifestyle that's not you.
Yeah.
So how can you go home and look in the mirror and say, man, I'm happy about the life that I'm living when you faking it? When you're looking at somebody that don't even look like you. So I'm not opposed to the people that fake it till they make it. I'm not saying do what you do.
I've heard that.
Do what you do.
I've heard that notion, like fake it, especially like when you're nervous and people like, oh man, fake it till you make it. Like you're nervous, just act like you're not nervous.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be, but
because a lot of times when you're nervous,
why are you nervous?
You're nervous, and then I answered that too. Why are you nervous? You nervous? Well, for me, when I used to be nervous speaking, I used to feel like, man, somebody's not going to enjoy what I had to say. My story's not going to resonate with somebody, or somebody's going to think I'm not a good speaker.
Right.
But then when I realized, when I started speaking and I started doing it more often, I started getting messages on Instagram from kids. And like I always talk about how close me and my mom was, even before she passed away. And I didn't realize the impact I was having on a lot of kids who struggle with their relationship with their parents. A lot of kids, man, have messaged me afterwards, or some have even come up to me in person crying, man, I don't have the best relationship with my mom. Your stories now made me reach out to my mom when I get home. Or I've got the messages saying, man, you have changed my entire perspective around my mom. So I get those all the time, you know what I mean? And so like at first when I was, like to go back to when I was nervous, man, somebody might not like what I got to say. Somebody might not like my story.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. And this is a cliche saying, if you change one person's life or you change one person's mind, then you did your job.
Man.
That is true. That's true. So I had to really get to a point to where that's how I really felt. You know what I mean? And now when I get off stage, man, instead of worrying and nervous about, did all 200 people like my story?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, man, I did the best I could do. Even if I was nervous, I did the best I could do.
Man.
Did the best I could do. I did the best I could do. And hopefully somebody's life inside is changed. Is impacted. Is impacted, yeah.
What's next, man? We on What's Next podcast. Before I even get into that question, I got to ask you the question before that is your best advice. Like, what's your best advice to anybody? And this doesn't have to be basketball related. Or like, what is Twany Beckham, like, what do you have to give to the people that, the best advice you can give to the people? And I know you got a lot.
Man, I got a lot of them, man. I got a lot of advice, man.
You got to give me the best one for now.
But the best advice, man, is that I would give you, man, going forward, you and anybody out there that's watching, is to know who you are. When you step in the room, know your value, know what you stand for, know what you bring to the table, know what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. Because if you know who you are, then you know where you're going. If you don't know who you are, you pulling up to the table, or you coming in rooms and you feeling like I'm not valuable enough to be in this room, or I don't belong on this path, then how you gonna go forward? So for me, man, any room, any conversation, anybody that I meet, man, I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I stand for. I know exactly what I don't stand for. And so in return, I know where it is that I'm going.
That's some dope advice, man.
Yeah.
Know who you are, man. Know who you are, ladies and gents, man. What's next for you, man, Twany Beckham?
Man, again, I'm just healing, man. I'm healing. I'm trying to figure out this space of healing, dealing with grief, just trying to get back to that place in my life where I'm just extremely happy. I mean, I'm happy now. Thank you, boss. I'm happy now, man, but just trying to get back there to where, it's full time. And I have my days where I'm down. I have my days where I don't feel like doing stuff, but I push through and I do it anyway. Man, so thank you, man. So, and then
that inspires me. I'm sorry to cut you off. That inspires me because it's like, man, like, yeah.
You can keep it. We try to overcomplicate success. Like, we try to overcomplicate it. Like, for instance, I'm not in the podcast space, but I know, you're a brother doing really well in this space.
I appreciate that.
I did my research and looked at your videos, but your brother doing really well in this space. Yeah. Instead of looking at your views and saying, man, I don't have 1,000 or 50,000 views.
Yeah.
I got 50 views. I'm happy with that because I know the work that I put into it.
Exactly.
You know, I know the type of conversation I had with my guests. I know the type of conversation I had within myself, that I'm working as hard as I can to put out good work.
It's making me better.
It's
like
making,
me sitting here with you, like you making me better.
Yeah.
Like I'm learning. So like
absolutely. So it's
views, man.
it's not about the views, man. It's not about the. So if you start worrying about the views, then that's gonna start impacting your happiness, and then you might not feel as inclined to go do the next podcast because you might not feel like you're gonna get those views. Nah, you know what I mean?
I ain't worried about the views. I'm just happy to be here, and be able to sit across.
Yeah,
like,
man.
I got an interview with Twany Beckham today, like the life. Like,
yes, sir.
What do I get to learn today?
But outside of that, man, outside of my healing and my happiness, man, you know, I'm just trying to be the best businessman that I can be, man. I'm trying to, like, everything about me is about exposing the youth, exposing the next person to be not who I am, because everybody's their own person.
Facts.
But looking at somebody like myself that come from an impoverished community and said, man, he's doing business on that type of level. I want to do business on that type of level. Or can I connect with him so he can show me how I can do business? So that's what I live for, is trying to pull people up, man. Trying to get people to
Yes. Because did you even have that when you were growing up? Did you have somebody that was doing what you're doing?
Nope.
Thank you.
Nope.
You making the world better, man. I appreciate that.
You know what I mean? You read about people. Well, of course, we didn't have the internet like that back then.
Exactly.
You know, we have flip phones
That's
and all that. You know, we didn't get the iPhones until
it's like word
the college. You know what I mean? So I didn't even know who those people in my space were. I never met an Arthur. So when I go to these schools and these kids get to touch me, oh my God! Like I have a book and he's the guy that wrote the book. That's a whole different thing. Yeah, that's a whole different thing. Oh my God! Like, you know what I mean? I got a children's book with all Black characters,
special,
called "Believe in Your Dreams." You know, inspired by my mother. And so when kids touch that book, man, they look up and they see me. Oh, he's an art. Oh, this is dope. You know what I mean? So, man, I'm just I'm just gonna keep going, man, and I'm gonna wish you the best for you to keep going too. Man, anytime, you know, we can collaborate on something, bro. You need me to help you in anything, bro.
No, down, man. You locked in. You locked in for sure. For sure, ladies and gents, man. Twany Beckham, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yes, sir.
I deeply appreciate it. One of my favorite episodes by far, man. I could sit here and talk to you all day.
All day, man. Listen, I ain't gonna shut up. We start talking, I ain't gonna shut up, bro. I can talk.
I really can, man. But I appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir, man.
I hope we can do something like this again and very soon. But ladies and gents, hit that like and subscribe button, man. Follow Twany Beckham on all his social media accounts. You'll see it below. Give him a follow. You know, he has some inspirational, content, and he's always giving back to the community, man. So I tip my hat off to them, man, and appreciate you for coming on, man.
Yes, sir.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gents, we'll see you again back next week with yet another guest on What's Next podcast. So stay tuned.